Okay, so I wanted to make a video to step you through the process of how you'll be doing your assignments for the rest of the semester, which is also similar of how you'll do it in the 135 class for the labs for me. And it's going to involve using GitHub Classroom. So all of you should have your Git accounts already, and I gave you materials to go through for GitHub, and I'm going to just remind you of them here. So if you haven't already taken a look at them, this is another website that it's not for our class, it's for my teacher CS education program. But from here, and you should have had this link before, but I'll send this to you when I send out this video. You know, this part is not relevant, it's Java, but here it says setting up Git in GitHub, and for Linux how to do it for a Mac, and if you're using Windows, you can just you can just watch this video over here, which I set up, or somebody set up. I did this one. Okay, so basically that's for setting it up for Windows. Shouldn't be a big deal. Closed the wrong window there. So let me find that, and here we go. So then here you also have to set up your SSH keys, and this video walkthrough will show you how to do it. It should work pretty much the same for all of the platforms. If you do it through the bash term, if you install Git and if you install Git for Windows and use Git Bash, it should pretty much just work. If not, there are a lot of resources online. Hit up the TAs, hit up your mentors, use Zulip, etc. But again, I would definitely watch this video. Then for learning Git, this video here and then this video over here are both kind of important. And then there's a reference here to essential commands, and this is the workflow that you should follow, etc. And so I would definitely go through this. This will help you make your lives easier. All right, but then for our class specifically, you're going to get a link from me. You're going to get a link. I'll send it out to you, and it's going to take you to your assignment. This is basically going to be one GitHub Classroom assignment where you're going to put all of your work, or most of your work, for the semester. So you're going to click on the link. It'll, I've already done this, so it might be a little different for you. It might actually bring you to a window which says, do you accept this assignment? In which case, yes, click yes, you should accept the assignment. But then it'll go through this, and when you get to this, you can look over this. Notice down here, join GitHub Student Developer Pack. If you haven't done this, you really should do this. It gets you lots of good free stuff. But then you just click on the repo to get to your repo. And this is a GitHub repo where you're going to be doing all of your assignments. So the first thing you have to do is most of the stuff, like 90-some-odd% of the stuff that you're going to do in the terminal on your machine. But you do have to edit this file, and I'm just going to show you how to edit this file on GitHub to show you how you can edit a file on GitHub. You don't really want to do this for like code, or if you do, you want to pull it down and test it, because I've seen a lot of people, they would have a working project or a working program, they're gonna submit it for grading or whatever, and they're like, oh, one last change, and they would make the change here, but they wouldn't test it, and then it killed everything, it broke everything. But anyway, you can click on the pencil over here, and the only things you have to do here is go over to your last name, and on the same line, just have a space and your last name. And here, there's already a space, your first name, and then here, your GitHub username, and that's it. And then we scroll to the bottom, and we'll commit the changes, and then they're here. Notice here I'm in the README file because I clicked on it to get to it. But if I'm in the main repo, just clicking on the main repo itself, the README file is going to show, and that's a very useful feature. So the next thing we want to do is we want to pull down this repo onto your machine. So some of you might be familiar with like this type of a file browser type thing. It's kind of big here, and this is the layout. We can look at it. You can look at it in different layouts or whatever. And so you'll see that I have a folder called GH, and this is where I put all of my stuff, my GitHub stuff. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this from the command line. So you can run the terminal. If you're running a Mac, there's got to be a way to start the terminal. You have to figure that out. If you're running Windows, you can run git bash. That's what I would recommend. If you're using the Windows Linux subsystem, you'll bring up a shell. But even command com will work. But there might be some differences. So for example, I know that I have this directory and this directory called GH, and I want to change into that directory. So I'm going to do CD to GH, and PWD will tell you what directory you're in if it doesn't automatically show up. And then I do an LS here to show what I have. And notice I have this template, but I don't have my actual assignment repo. So I'm going to go here, click on code, and if you're still in the README folder, notice that you don't have that code button. That's a reminder that you want to be in the main repo. Click on code, and it should say clone with SSH. If it says clone with HTTPS, make sure to clone, click so it says this SSH. If you don't see this, it means you haven't created your SSH keys correctly, or you haven't done it yet. Go back and watch that video, and if you still have trouble, reach out to the office hours, hit us up on Zulip, hit your mentor up, and that will be good. All right, so I'm going to cut this. Go to my terminal, and notice I'm in the GH folder. I type git clone, and then I paste it. And now if I do ls, or dir for Windows, but Linux or Mac ls, notice I have my Zemansky repo here, and this is the one, this is the one actually that I'm going to work on. If I cd into it, and I'm using tab to complete, here I am, and there it is. And if I look at the file browser, notice that it's now here, and it's here. And I'm not going to go any further with that right now. So now we're ready where we can do the assignment. So I'm reading the assignment. Now, I don't have an assignment here. I haven't written our next assignment yet, but I'm going to load up Thami. And let's say the assignment said make a folder or directory. This is going to go into 01 basics. So you'll make a directory 01-basics, and it's got to be exactly what I specify. So if I say lowercase, use lowercase. If I have a dash, use a dash. 0101, not just one, because I'm going to write programs, little scripts that process these for me. So if you have it wrong, it's not going to be there. I'm not going to see it. And so I'm going to cd into that directory. There's nothing there right now, and that's okay. But this is the directory, or this is the folder where I'm going to do all my work. Now, whenever you're working with Git, this is important. You have to be in, you can't, I can't be, if I cd back to here, this is my home directory, Git won't work from here. I'm in the GH directory, Git won't work from here. I have to be in the directory that I cloned, and I should be in the one that I'm working on right now. So let's say this assignment said you're supposed to create a file, so I'll do a new file, it's just here, and this will call functions.py, because let's just say the assignment said create something called functions.py. I will save it, and I have to select the folder. So I think I could just type GH there, and that'll bring me into the folder, and I want to be in the Zemansky one, the one that I cloned, in basics, and we'll call this functions.py. We have saved it. So now in the terminal, it's here. And now I want to add this under git control. So I type git, and I don't like the name. I kind of messed up the name. So let me close that. Let me rename functions.py to functions.py. And now if I go file open, okay, it's there. There's nothing really there yet. So now I'm going to do git add functions.py. This places it under local git control. And now if I do git status, there's a new file to be committed. So I do git commit functions.py, and then I have to give it a message. Added functions.py. If I don't give that message, it'll put me into an editor that I have to type the message in. I'll show you that in a minute. But always do that -m, because that'll make it easier. Now if I do git status, it says I might want to push this. I'm ahead of my master, and master is GitHub. So if I'm here and I reload the page, notice that there's nothing there, that file isn't there. But if I do git push, it'll take everything that I've committed, and I'm going to reload this again. And now it's here, you know, with just those basics. So now let's say I put some of the assignment in, and maybe the function says, well, you've got to print hello world. And so I will save that, whoops, and run it. And so now in here, you'll notice it's different. If I type git status, it says, hey, this is modified. If I don't want to keep the modifications, I can do what's known as a git checkout, but we won't deal with that right now. But I can commit these changes. So let's say I just do git commit. Misspelled it there. It brings me into an editor, and so I added my first print. And what you get for that might be a little bit different, but basically you're going to have to, if you don't do the -m, you have to type your message there, your little log message there, and then save and exit the editor. So it might look a little different, but the same basic behavior. And now I can do my git push again, and notice I'm always doing this git status. And if I reload this, this is here. Now, of course, I could also, let's say I also create another file. So let's create another new file, and we'll call this file2.py. And we'll just save this, and we're already in the right folder, but we should always check. And so now if I do git status, it has a new file. So what I can do here is, let's say I've added it, but now for some reason I go back to here, and I don't recommend this. I recommend doing one thing at a time if you can. Let's say we make a function called add2, a and b, and it's going to return a minus b. Yes, I know. So we'll now print add2 of 5 and 10. Save it. We want to test it. And notice now that this is untracked. I have to git add this maybe, and this one is modified. So I can do each of these. I can do them git add files too. And I could commit this, or I could do two things at once. And I like doing the commit. And then I will do, and again, I've got to spell it right, and the up arrow brings up the previous command. And then I'll do a commit on functions. And notice the tab helps me with this. And then I can do my git push. And notice here, this has been changed. But if I go back to basics, I also have file2. And let's say I realize, oh, I don't want file2. I didn't mean to add that. I can't just remove it locally. I have to git remove it. And now after I git remove it, it's gone. And I also realize that, oh, maybe this isn't right. I should probably fix this. So I can now fix this, save it, run it to test it. And I should do the git status again. Git commit functions message fixed add2. And just as a side note, if I do git diff, it'll show me some differences I made. If I do git, well, I'll show you more. I did the commit, so let me just do the git push, and I'll show you a couple other things. And so now with this push, now that is correct. And I can do various other things as well. So if I click here, fixed add2, it can show me the diff, and notice it says here I got rid of this minus and I put in the plus. You can see what was going on ahead of beforehand. Or I can look at the history in general, and this shows me all of the histories on this particular file. So if I want, I can, well, I mean, this is another way of going. Notice here that I went from this green was added. This was when I added this function. Or if I look at the whole repo, I can look at all my changes and notice I have, oh, I removed file2. So if I look here, I can see what I removed, but I could also look at the repository at this point and see it's removed. And it's like, oh, wait, I want to see what that was. I can go to the one before and I can see, oh, well, actually I clicked on the wrong one there. Is this the right one? Oh, yeah, in basics. And there it is, file 2. So I can always go back to the old versions, and I can even do this, by looking at the log. I can look at these things here. And we'll go more into this later, but these are the basics. And so what you're going to do is whenever you get an assignment, what you're going to do is you're going to go into this folder that you've cloned from the assignment. You're going to make the folder for the assignment. So in this case, it was 01-basics, but it's whatever it says in the assignment. You'll do the assignment and you will add whatever files it says to add. You'll commit them, you'll push them. And then if you go to GitHub and you look on GitHub, you'll be able to see, oh, indeed, it is here. And you'll test it. You'll know it's the same thing. It'll work. So those are all of the basics. There's a lot more to GitHub, and you'll learn a lot more about GitHub, over the course of this semester. But this is for getting started, and I'll outline when I email this out. Well, you'll see this in Zulip before you see this part of the video. You'll get the links to to some GitHub help and the other websites that are important. And then in the first assignment, which I'll give you after Monday's class, and you'll get and this video, I'm not sure when I'll send this out, you'll get that with instructions for what to do for for an assignment. It won't be this thing that I showed you here. This was just demo purposes, okay? Any questions, hit up Zulip, Zulip office hours, etc. And that's it.